Hi, Bashar. I have some questions about Christina von Rijn, the Swiss girl who is born with an expanded state of consciousness and is constantly in communication with source energy on all levels. So I was wondering if Christina is one of those few people who truly embodies, who truly is unconditional love. And then I've got another question regarding her body, because she makes this amazing discoveries, like her body is able to blend in with the background, those kind of things. So it makes me wonder about who she truly is. Is her body truly human, or is she a hybrid or something else? Thank you. Bye-bye.
First of all humans are hybridized. And therefore, some people may be willing at this point, or able at this point, to tap more strongly into those hybrid genes in a way that will allow them to expand their senses and do things that others may not be able to do, that might seem unusual, but are simply representative of the abilities you all have if you would in fact learn to tap into that genetic structure that's connected to the cosmos in the same way. That's all we will say about that at this time.
Good day, Bashar.
Good day, good day.
It's always a pleasure to speak to you, so thank you.
And you as well. It is our passion and our pleasure.
So thank you for those sharings. I'm always, for some reason, still amazed at the synchronicity at what you talk about and what I'm interested in discussing. So,
all right. If it's fun for you to be amazed, you may continue to do so, even though it becomes something more common in your reality experience.
Yeah, it's a good place to be. So with that in mind, I've been placing more of my attention and focus on this idea of the Earth and climate change as one way to look at it.
Yes.
And some of the things you've mentioned about these layers bring up some questions about, I've been drawn to study more of this topic, and I'm reading stories of what some people are doing to the Earth or extracting from the Earth, that maybe their relationship to the Earth is not one of, it's not symbiotic.
Yes.
And one of the thoughts that came to me is that there's this denial that there is something that is negative about that action, and that it's a denial of oneself.
Yes, of course, always.
And so when you talk about these layers, and specifically the thing that came to my mind was the archetypal layer, is it on the one side, the positive side? For me, when I read these stories, I have a negative response that makes me want to do something positive, but
yes.
At the same time I need to, or not need to, but those stories are not happening in my reality, but they're still causing me to want to do something different.
Yes, there is always the importance of taking an action that is representative. When you see something that you don't prefer, take the action that is representative of what you do, because that's what navigates you closer and closer every day to shifting into the version of Earth that you prefer to experience ultimately.
And I think that's where I'm maybe tying some of what I've heard from you and from Abraham, is that what I'm trying to now focus on is I'm seeking out the positive things. I'm looking for people that are trying to make a change, stories that celebrate how we can reconnect with the Earth.
Yes.
And at the same time, I guess I should be mindful not to invalidate these other stories that may come across, I might perceive as negative.
Yes, you can observe them neutrally and recognize that they're negative without necessarily invalidating the pathways that people are taking, because they may have to learn things in a very different way. And if you invalidate it, then you take away, in a sense, your ability to see that they're actually capable of learning something in a positive way from it.
Okay. And so the collective shell,
yes.
which is this, I guess, embodiment of these bigger energies that we have named in different ways. Maybe I'm kind of making strange connections here, but I realize that just being in a place of gratitude, reading
yes.
something about an amazing forest and how they all connect and communicate with each other without ever having been there or experienced it, I have this sense of gratitude, and I wonder if in a way I'm connecting with some of these shells because
Yes,
of
of
the energy
course.
that they represent?
Yes, of course. But again, that doesn't take away the ability to take actual physical actions as well, which then anchor them into your reality.
Yeah, it's that's something that I'm also exploring is what actions can I take?
Well, it's very simple. You can very simply start some action that is representative of the restoration of the natural balance of your planet. I mean, if nothing else, go plant some trees.
Yes. And one last question on this is, I think part of these different layers is the idea of even being aware of them. I think there's a
Yes.
not seeing as such. And I thought was interesting is that we are putting these things into the environment, whether it's nitrogen into the water or carbon dioxide into the air, and they are invisible to
Yes.
most people. And I thought that was interesting in that we don't see the cause, but we see the effect
Yes.
generally.
Yes.
Um,
Well,
And
just like in the manifestation of your physical reality, you're not always aware of the belief system. Sometimes your beliefs, being unconscious, are invisible to you, but you always see the effect in physical reflections.
so we are seeing the mirror, the reflection of whatever the actions may be, whether they're ours or someone else's.
Whatever the choices are, always has a reflection.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not so much about, because part of me wonders if as we move into higher frequencies, whether we would actually be able to perceive those things.
Yes. You
Yeah.
would be more aware of what is invisible to you. You'll become transparent to yourself with regard to your belief systems, and you may actually have your senses extend to the point where you have some kind of visible energy representation of things and elements that are invisible to you now. Yes.
And connecting with, say, the elementals is one part or the beginning of that journey. It's something.
It can be, because they can guide you into how to rebalance yourselves, because they are the very essence of balance in nature.
And this is, I think, I mean, I know the answer to this question, but I have doubts in it, and I know I said it was my last question, in that I don't believe I've ever seen an elemental per se. I feel a lot more connected with nature and the environment more recently than I have in the past.
Yes.
And I still have gratitude for these things that I may not perceive immediately.
Yes.
But I guess there's a part of me that wishes that I were able to have an experience that I could say I truly believe or saw.
All right.
Something along those lines.
Well, again, it's more likely when you actually balance all the energy within yourself by taking the actions that are actually representative of the energy you say you prefer, thus allowing all levels of you to work and move forward in balance. Then again, by following the formula, you raise your frequency and make it more likely to allow things that are invisible to you, including beings on different levels, to become visible to you. You don't have to insist on it, but you do have to take the actions so that you can move forward in a completely holistic, balanced way in order for all those levels to be more perceivable to you. So the paradox is you have to take more physical actions on the energy you prefer in order to see the non-physical things more clearly.
And would choosing not to share this aspect of myself with those around me be a way of getting in the way of that alignment?
It depends. If it's not appropriate to share something with someone you know simply doesn't think that way or believe that way, it's not about trying to convince them, so it's not like you have to share. But the idea is to make sure that you are moving forward towards something rather than avoiding something that is actually something that could help you. But you have to make that determination yourself. What's appropriate and what's not.
Bashar, as always, thank you so much. Much love.
You are so welcome. Our unconditional love to you as well.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Hi, today I want to talk about children.
Yes.
So I've listened to a lot of your material, and I'm super excited because I am following what you've said, the new education system. So we're hanging out with children and they're following their passion, and it's really fun and
Yes.
exciting.
All right.
Thank you so much for that. So I have a daughter, and I'm just wondering what she tells me about a past life when she lived with Jesus, and
Yes.
Jesus was her brother.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about what she's actually remembering?
Well, again, she may be making an energetic connection to that being for a number of reasons. Remember, there's no such thing as a true past life. It's simply that all things exist simultaneously, and a person will connect vibrationally and energetically to whatever and whoever who exists simultaneously in another time frame is representative of the theme that they're exploring in this life. So if that particular individual, part of Jesus's family, is somebody that has a frequency that aids and assists her in the theme she chose to explore in this life, the connection will simply be automatic. And it may come through as if it's a memory, but that's just the space-time linear way of looking at those connections that happen, because you don't necessarily know or believe that everyone actually exists at the same time.
Okay, because she talked about this when she was young, and she would still bring it up now.
Yes.
So
Well, how old is she?
What's that?
How old is she?
She's 8.
All right. That's still well within the ability of children to make those connections.
Okay, yeah, and where she's still talking about it, I feel like that she's still connecting with either the energy of Jesus himself or something to do with that vibration is still relevant right now.
Yes, well, and again, like we spoke of earlier, that's part of the collective shell. Therefore, children being born, and that have been being born for quite some time, remember, aren't forgetting as much of who they are and have the ability more easily than many adults to tap into the different shells as they need them and the different archetypes as they need to. So it's not uncommon now for children to be speaking of things that may seem strange to adults, but are actually quite natural for them to be capable of doing to aid and assist and guide them and adults in your reality into understanding more of the nature of your overall consciousness.
Okay, great. Yeah, she is guiding me a lot. And so part of this new education system, my daughter and I have been doing this really cool thing called world schooling, where we're traveling, and we actually bought an RV. And we'll joke around and say, like, oh, our RV is like our spaceship.
Yes.
So, and I've been listening to you talk about the hybrids are in these like Tic Tac spaceships.
Yes.
So I was wondering if you could just, and even if the hybrid children want to, speak through you, or I'm just trying to make a comparison to what we have, our motorhome, right? We fill it with gas, we can drive it around, we park it at a campground.
Yes.
We have different tanks that everything filters through. Can you compare like our RV to like how the hybrid ship, like do they have tanks? Do they have gas?
No, they don't have gas, and you should know that.
Okay.
The idea,
fuel,
again,
I guess I should say.
well, not really. The idea is they tap directly into electromagnetic and gravitic energy and cosmic energy to move the craft. In a sense, they travel on different forms of light. But the idea is you can certainly identify with their craft and identify with the idea of your RV being like their craft and that they transport you where you wish to go. So you can certainly overlap those vibrations if you wish, if it helps you maintain the vibrational state in your consciousness that makes it easier for you to connect to the hybrids. You can always do that. But your RV is nothing like their ships. Their ships are nothing like your RV in terms of its technology.
That I totally figured. Do they have like a separate place when they're actually driving it, and then do they have beds like in a different section where they sleep?
Some ships do, some ships don't, because they're only for temporary transportation. Again, just like some of your automobiles, they don't necessarily have to have a bed. It doesn't mean you couldn't fall asleep in them, but it's not exactly what you prefer to sleep in. So some of them do, some of them don't. It just depends on their function.
I see. Okay. So if I'm thinking about the Tic Tac crafts, maybe that would be more like an airplane that's taking them from wherever they are to their
In some ways, yes, more like that.
okay, and then they go to like their headquarters under the sea, and then they have.
Yes.
I mean, are they sleeping? Are they eating? Are they going to the
Sometimes.
bathroom?
Well, yes, sometimes. Now, again, their systems are far more refined than the humans on Earth, so they don't necessarily eat as much. They don't eliminate as much. They don't sleep as much. But the idea is that sometimes they do all these things. Nevertheless, it's a similar experience, but in a way, less of what humans do.
Okay. Thank you so much, Bashar.
You are welcome so much. Good day.
Okay.
Hello. Bashar, my question is, are we controlled by a microorganism in our brain? Thanks.
No.
Oh, good day, Bashar. Hello.
What would you like to discuss?
Well, I'm excited to have this opportunity to talk with you today. So I have experienced the power of the formula that, I learned about it in 2013. And right away, I had a desire to have a private session with you. I didn't have any money. I booked a ticket to California. And within like a week, somebody on Instagram, I don't know who, decided to buy like $8,500 worth of my artwork without even seeing it. Boom, done.
That's how it happens.
My intention. I'm so aware, and it's been such a ride since then, getting to experience the synchronicity. That is like my excitement, my joy, and my passion. Like just being aware of the synchronicity, following the trail.
Yes.
Incredible things happen. Like,
Absolutely.
And I'm all good with that.
Yes, there are so many more doors that can open through which the things you need can come than most people on your planet are aware of.
Okay, I am aware of the doors. My question is, I'm not allowing myself to walk through the ones that I know that are there.
Why not? What are you afraid of?
Well, I don't know. Like,
yes, you
I'm
do.
Getting better. I'm getting better at the formula. Just like, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, the very last part of the formula about staying in a positive state.
Yes.
What would seem what was happening was a bunch of so-called negative events, and I just knew it. And I'm like, nope, something better is going to happen. I just know it. I could feel it.
Yes.
And not only did something better, and it was like a cumulative, like supposed negative things. I'm like, oh, something really good is going to happen.
Yes.
And something even better than I expected happened. So
exactly.
I know that vibration.
Yes.
Okay.
So then why would you be afraid to walk through any of the doors?
It's not that I'm afraid to walk through them. It's just I know they're there and I can't seem to find them, and I know obviously.
But you will find them through synchronicity, just like the person that bought your artwork. You didn't necessarily know that door was there, but it will reveal itself in perfect timing when it needs to. You don't have to be aware in that sense and know exactly where the doors are. That's the details. Let the details take care of themselves. You just have to know the doors are there.
Okay, so with that being said then, how can I distinguish the difference of knowing and believing that those doors are there, right?
Well, you've already had the experience that they are, so why don't you know that?
Right, no, here's the question though.
Yes.
I mean, like, how do I know then if something's just not relevant for me to experience in this lifetime?
Then
like,
you won't experience it.
But what if I still then have the desire for something? That means then there's the door, or?
Well, it depends on the reason for the desire. It can be a recognition that something is relevant, or it can simply be, again, a fear-based belief telling you that you need this thing when you don't. So you have to be honest within yourself to know the difference between true excitement and anxiety. What's the insistence about? Because desire, in the negative sense, is insistence. So are you insisting that this thing must happen?
That's the thing. It's not so much an insistence.
As it is.
When I'm not in alignment, it comes from other sources. Like I have to have this in order, whatever.
All right.
But when I'm in alignment, I know, okay, I'm eternal, so it doesn't really matter. This is my experience here.
Yes.
But if I were to experience it here, it would even be better.
You're making an insistent judgment by saying it would be even better. You don't know that. You don't know that. That's the first thing that people have to realize when we talk about the aspect of the formula that says no assumption, no insistence. What we're actually saying is, if you're really honest with yourself, you realize you don't know what the best outcome actually needs to look like. So don't think you do. That's insistence.
Agreed. And that I hear you in those moments in my life.
All right.
But
But what?
there's just like something else I know.
Then let it happen. If it's relevant for you, it will happen. Get on with your life. Do what you can act on. Don't forget, all versions of your excitement are interconnected and will lead to other versions, even if they don't appear that to be connected. Even if you have no idea how one thing could lead to another, they're all interconnected if they are truly representative of your passion. So just get on about doing what it is you can do. Well, then you don't need these other questions if you understand that.
Okay.
Because everything that is relevant for you will unfold.
Right. Well, okay. Well, obviously, then when I'm not in alignment, then I have those questions. But
exactly.
When I am, okay, that's why it's like, okay, I'm right.
That's one of your first clues as to when you are or are not in alignment.
Yeah. All right. Then while you're in front of me, so to speak, can I ask you if you have a permission slip that will help me get out of my way when I'm in those moments that I haven't ventured into yet?
Well, all you have to do is ask yourself what you're getting out of being in those moments that aren't in alignment. Because you always do things, you always choose things that you believe are to your benefit. So ask yourself, as a permission slip, what benefit am I getting from this? But you have to be very honest in your answer. Because
how do I do that better?
It's very easy. Just pay attention.
How?
You have to be honest. You have to be transparent with yourself. It has to be okay for you to realize you're doing something you don't prefer to do, and let that be okay. So the idea again is, when you ask, well, if I'm doing something that's out of alignment, what is the benefit of that? Then just sit with it and use your imagination and say, well, what am I getting out of this? Well, maybe it's safer than the alternative. Maybe I believe that. Maybe the negative belief is convincing me that if I actually went forward, something worse would happen. And it's safer to just stay where I am, even though I don't prefer it. You have to use your imagination to examine all the probabilities of why you're choosing to do what you're doing. That's all you have to do. Just be in that process. You'll find the answer if you're willing to. That's all it takes.
All right.
So, when those moments happen, don't rush past them. Don't get on with something else. Don't ignore them. Stay with that and take the time to do the self-investigation and ask the question, what am I getting out of doing something that I don't prefer to do? What is the negative belief convincing me here of that isn't necessarily true?
Oh,
stay with it.
You said the perfect words. And
there you go. There you go.
It's just staying in the moment. That's the key for me. Just being with that.
Yes. That's when they come up. That's all there is. There's nothing more important to do than deal with what comes up in the moment.
Right.
Nothing. Nowhere else you need to be that's more important.
Oh my goodness. I love the validation. You're amazing. Okay. I love you, Bashar.
Our unconditional love to you as well. Good day.
Bye.